The days after Ben's visit became a whirlwind for Anna. The initial spark he had given her, the idea of events and workshops, had lit a fire she hadn't realized was there. Now, she was full of ideas, sketching notes late into the night and waking up with more to add. She was at the counter one morning, scribbling furiously in her notebook, when Ben walked in, a cup of coffee in each hand. "Morning," he said, setting one cup down in front of her. "You've been busy." "You have no idea," Anna replied, her eyes bright. Ben leaned over the counter, scanning the page. A smile spread across his face. "I think you're onto something." "And," Anna continued, barely pausing to breathe, "I was thinking about teaming up with local businesses for cross-promotions. Like, we could offer a discount to customers who donate fabric or supplies. And I've already started working on some promotional flyers to hand out at the school." She tapped a pile of colorful mock-ups on the counter. Ben raised an eyebrow, impressed. "You've been busy," he repeated, his tone warm. "Once I started, the ideas just kept coming," Anna admitted, brushing a stray curl out of her face. "I don't know why I didn't think of this sooner. People want experiences, right? And if they leave here with something they made themselves, they'll remember it. They'll talk about it." Ben nodded, his eyes fixed on her with quiet admiration. "Exactly. You're making the shop more than a place to buy things. You're making it part of the community." The words settled over Anna, and for a moment, she allowed herself to feel the weight of them. Part of the community. That was what her mother had always wanted for the shop. Over the next week, the shop became a hive of activity. Anna spent her mornings sewing and serving customers, her afternoons preparing for the first event, and her evenings turning her ideas into reality. The first workshop, Upcycle Your Wardrobe, was set for Saturday, and Anna threw herself into making sure every detail was perfect. She cleared a section of the shop for crafting tables, hung up colorful banners she'd made herself, and even stitched together small fabric kits for participants. Ben helped when he could, moving tables and brainstorming with her, but it was clear to both of them that this was Anna's vision now. "You've got this," Ben said as they stood in the shop on Friday night, admiring the setup. "I hope so," Anna replied, her voice tinged with nervous excitement. The next morning, Anna opened the door to find a small line of people waiting outside, families clutching bags of old clothes, curious faces peeking in. Among them, Anna recognized a few familiar faces: Maya and her mother, Mrs. Amina, with wide smiles and a bag bursting with old denim, Mark standing beside his daughter Holly, who clutched her notebook tightly, and Mrs. Hines, trying to corral her 3 energetic grandchildren, each holding fabric scraps in their tiny fists. "Welcome," Anna said, her nerves dissolving into a smile as she ushered them inside. The day was a success. Parents and children crowded around tables, learning how to sew patches and create simple designs. Anna moved among them, offering guidance and encouragement. "See," she said to Maya as the young girl worked intently on stitching a colorful patch onto her old backpack. "That's perfect. Your stitches are so neat." Maya grinned proudly, and her mother, Mrs. Amina, leaned over with a fond smile. "She's been excited about this all week," she whispered to Anna. "Thank you for organizing it." At another table, Mark sat beside Holly, helping her trace a flower design onto fabric. "I think it'll look great on your bag," he said. "Better than your old jacket," Holly teased, glancing up from her notebook. Mark chuckled. "Probably, but I like my jacket just fine now. Right, Anna?" Anna laughed as she passed by their table. "It's holding up pretty well thanks to you, Mark. You're getting the hang of this. Nearby, Mrs. Hines was trying to keep her lively grandchildren focused as they darted between the tables. "Grandma, look!" one of them exclaimed, waving a piece of fabric shaped like a star. Anna crouched beside them, helping the little boy position the fabric on a tote bag. "Let's stitch this right here," she said with a smile. The shop buzzed with laughter and chatter all day, and even Ben seemed to be in his element, floating through the shop to make sure everything ran smoothly. But it was clear to anyone watching that Anna was at the center of it all. By the end of the day, as the last participants filed out, Anna sat down at one of the crafting tables, exhausted but exhilarated. Mrs. Hines waved from the door, her grandchildren bouncing with excitement. "This was wonderful, Anna," she said. "I hope you'll do it again soon." Mark and Holly were next, lingering for a moment. "Thank you," Mark said quietly, his voice carrying a depth that made Anna pause. This meant a lot to her, to both of us. Holly looked up at Anna, her notebook clutched close. "I think I might make something like this at home," she said shyly. Anna smiled, her chest warming. "You should. I'd love to see what you make, Holly." As the door closed for the last time, Anna let out a breath and leaned back in her chair. The shop, though quieter now, still held the warmth and energy of the day. "Ready to start planning the next one?" Ben asked as he walked over, his voice laced with humor. Anna laughed softly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I think I need a minute first." But in her heart, she already knew this was just the beginning. The cheers of the children still echoed in Anna's ears as she and Ben stepped out of the school. The sewing demonstration had been a resounding success. The kids had laughed, learned, and even asked Anna questions about how she started her craft. Parents who had come to pick them up lingered to chat, and the headmistress, a cheerful woman with a warm smile, had clapped her hands together as she invited Anna back. "Oh, Anna," she had said brightly, "the children adored you. I can't thank you enough for coming. Let's get you back here next month, shall we? Maybe even a sewing club." Anna had nodded, still a little stunned by the reception. "I'd love that," she had managed to say, her heart full. Now, as she and Ben walked toward a small cafe near the school, Anna could barely contain her excitement. "I still can't believe it," she said, her voice brimming with joy. "They actually want me back. Did you see how excited those kids were?" "I saw," Ben replied, his tone warm and steady. "They loved you." Anna laughed, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I mean, I love the shop, but today was different. Seeing their faces light up, realizing I could actually inspire them. It's surreal." "It's not surreal," Ben said, his lips curving into a smile as he held the cafe door open for her. "It's you. You make things happen." After grabbing something simple to eat, they decided to take a stroll, the golden hues of the setting sun casting long shadows on the quiet streets. Anna barely noticed her surroundings as she talked animatedly about the headmistress's feedback, ideas for the next workshop, and even how a few parents had asked her about private sewing classes. Her voice was light, her steps almost bouncing with joy. Ben walked beside her, quieter than usual, his hands tucked into his jacket pockets. His gaze, however, wasn't on the path ahead. It was on her. He watched the way her eyes sparkled when she talked about her dreams, the way her lips curved into an uncontainable smile, the way her entire presence seemed lighter, freer, like she was finally stepping into a world she'd always deserved. She was radiant. And for the first time, Ben didn't bother trying to hide how he felt. The two of them wandered into the park, the same one where their journey together had truly begun. The air was cooler now, the faint rustling of leaves punctuated by the distant sound of children playing. As they walked, the towering oak tree came into view, its sprawling roots bathed in the amber glow of the fading sun. Anna paused beneath the tree, resting her hand lightly on its trunk. "It feels like forever ago that we came here," she said softly, her voice taking on a reflective tone. "Digging up that box, reading Kate's letter. It feels like it changed everything." "It did," Ben said quietly, stepping closer. Anna turned to look at him, her face lit by the golden light. "For you?" "For me," he said, his voice steady but laced with emotion. He hesitated for a moment, gathering his thoughts, before continuing. "But not just because of the capsule. Because of you." Anna blinked, her breath catching slightly as she searched his face. "You came into my life when I didn't know I needed someone," Ben said, his voice raw, his gaze unwavering. "And every day since then, the thought of seeing you, of hearing your laugh, of watching you light up when you talk about your work, it's made my days brighter. You've made me brighter." The words hung between them, fragile yet powerful. Anna's heart raced as she held his gaze, every part of her wanting to look away and yet unable to. She couldn't deny it anymore. The way he looked at her, the way he spoke, the way her heart felt like it was about to burst. It was all real. "Ben," she whispered, her voice trembling. But she didn't need to say more. He stepped closer, so close she could feel the warmth of him even in the cool evening air. His hand reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face, his touch gentle but deliberate. Anna closed the gap between them, her heart pounding in her chest. Their lips met in a kiss that was soft at first, tentative, but quickly deepened into something that spoke of everything they hadn't said. Every look, every smile, every unspoken moment finally given a voice. When they pulled apart, the world around them seemed to stand still. Ben smiled, his forehead resting lightly against hers. "I've wanted to do that for a while," he murmured. Anna laughed softly, her cheeks flushing. "Me too." The sun dipped below the horizon, casting the park in a dusky glow. For a moment, they simply stood there, the weight of their shared journey and newfound connection settling between them like a promise. Sometimes life gives us threads of hope when we least expect it. In the hands of the right people, those threads can weave something beautiful. For Anna and Ben, it wasn't just about mending broken pieces. It was about creating something new together. Because love, like the best stitches, holds everything together.